Okay, tell me, what do you know about respiration? Huh? Huh? Uh-huh. So, external is what? Okay, what's breathing? Okay, between your body and the air, which is where external muscle contract, okay, and then the breath move upward and forward, correct or not? So that one, I'm not talking about that. Okay, now, external, which is we call it breathing. Since cellular respiration is talking about internal already lah. Just now what you say is actually respiration alone. Respiration alone. Now, internal will be cellular respiration. It's divided into two processes. One is called glycolysis. Glycolysis. Okay, what is glycolysis? Breaking down glucose into 2-fibrate. What is fibrate? And this happened in where? It happened in cytoplasm. Correct. Okay, now, and this fibrate is actually intermediate, means halfway product, haven't end product one. Okay? And after that will be breaking down fibrate into carbon dioxide and water. And it happens in no space city. Breaking down fibrate into carbon dioxide and water. And it happened in mitochondria. Glycolysis, it needs enzyme. We call it hexokinase. Hexokinase is actually an intracellular enzyme, if you don't know, which we seldom talk about it. You know what's intracellular enzyme not? Normally we say about extracellular enzyme, right? Extracellular enzyme means produced here. Yes, used outside of the cell. Intracellular enzyme is produced inside, I use inside also, which is, we call it hexokinase, one of the enzyme where we need this enzyme in glycolysis. Okay? So what is glycolysis? It's breaking down the glucose into a fibrate. And then the second stage is breaking down the fibrate into carbon dioxide and water. And it happens in mitochondria. Okay, understand? So that's called respiration, cellular respiration. Now, actually cellular respiration, there are two types, okay? What? We have aerobic respiration, we have anaerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration. So aerobic means with oxygen. Anaerobic means without oxygen. Now, anaerobic without oxygen, it happens in many places. It can happen in plant. It can happen in your milk by a bacteria, okay? It can happen in your muscle. So in a plant, we call it fermentation. Actually, this one also we call it fermentation. Okay, now who is the one that doing all this fermentation? Plant can be yeast. There are some paddy plant also can do fermentation, right? Undergo anaerobic respiration. The bacteria that can do fermentation, we call it bacillus, lactobacillus. Lactobacillus. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, serious? A bit, what's it? You tell me what I say. Hey, Faris, am I talking very fast? Faris, Faris, can you tell me what is cellular respiration? Now, the general terms of cellular respiration, now I'm talking about aerobic respiration, is glucose. We are using oxygen. So that's why, what's the purpose of breathing? Actually, to get energy from the food. We want to use the oxygen to break the food into energy, okay? So we're going to produce carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So energy is something cannot be seen. So much energy produced when we breathe. So where the energy goes, they have to store in the form of ATP. It's a kind of molecule. We call it adenyl triphosphate. adenyl triphosphate. When you want to take the energy from this molecule that time, you have to break it down into adenosine phosphate, ADP, and the energy. You know what I'm talking? Now, complete reaction of these, you produce 38 molecule of ATP. It's about, wow, I forgot already. 3989 2898 okay, kilojoule energy. Kilojoule, 2898, 2898 kilojoule of energy, complete breaking down of glucose into carbon dioxide and water. So the energy will be stored in ATP. It's a kind of molecule. There are 38 ATP produced for one complete breaking down of glucose. Okay, so if you want to take energy from this ATP will break down into ADP and energy. Okay, now what about anaerobic respiration? What do you mean by anaerobic respiration? When will we have anaerobic respiration? I told you already, my anaerobic respiration can be happen in muscle, right? So when our muscle will have anaerobic respiration? Why is that when we do intense workout, our muscle will feel sore? Like too much of acid stored inside our muscle. Why? Like, wow, imagine 很酸in BM it's called what? Lesu, is it? Very sour. Is it in your muscle? Why is it so soury in your muscle? Because when you do intense exercise, your breathing is already like super fast, like Falari, but it's not fast enough to supply enough energy to your muscle. Because your muscle is like, wow, they want to take in a lot of energy, but our breathing is not fast enough. So how? So the glucose will be temporarily changed into a thing called lactic acid. Okay, so that's anaerobic respiration, the one that happened in muscle, where glucose is converted into lactic acid. See, without the presence of oxygen, no. Because that time we are oxygen debt, we call it kekurangan oxygen. So they'll turn into lactic acid and energy. No carbon dioxide, energy. So how much energy produced will be 150 kilojoule, about 2 ATP. Okay, a lot of students, they always thought, oh, lactic acid and carbon dioxide, wrong, glucose into lactic acid only, Okay, so why is that you feel so? Now we understand it or not? Because accumulation of lactic acid in your muscle. So how to remove this lactic acid after the intense workout? How to remove the soreness? You recovery state, which is you sit down and breathe. That's why nowadays I also bring my son to jogging, and then my son will complain, here pain, and then show me sour face already. The sour face I don't know how to cure, but the muscle pain I know. Okay, the sour in muscle, you breathe, you deep breathe. Then you slowly will reduce one. It cannot be like one step, it reduce the pain. Of course, you need time now. Okay, unless it's a very pain like an unbearable kind of pain, it's different story. Okay, I'm talking about bearable one. Sometimes when you never stretch your body and then you all of a sudden do intense workout, you might have some pain here or there one. Because you haven't stretched, haven't warmed up, and your muscle all of a sudden ask you to do intense workout. That's why they will pain, normal one. You just need to deep breathe and then slowly warm up. Okay? Understand or not? You understand what I'm talking? Yeah, baby. Yo. So what is cellular respiration? If I'm talking about aerobic respiration, it's with the presence of oxygen. Oh, I'm so pretty. Okay, this direction. Okay, so with the presence of oxygen, can break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water. Correct. And this process is break into 2 stages. The first stage is called glycolysis. And this glycolysis, you need the enzyme. You need an intracellular enzyme, which we call hexokinase. What if the question asks in exam? Give example of intracellular enzyme, hexokinase or extracellular enzyme. A lot. The pancreas, we have what? Lipase, amylase, trypsin, correct? We produce in pancreas and then they are secreted into duodenum. So this is extracellular enzyme. Okay, so glycolysis is breaking down glucose into a or we call it intermediate product. We call it pyruvate. Produce 2 pyruvate. One glucose produce 2 pyruvate. And this happens in cytoplasm. Okay, so I did told you pyruvate is separuh saja, belum lagi completely reacted. So they have to further the process by breaking down this pyruvate into carbon dioxide and water, and it happened in mitochondrion. Now let's revise back. How's the structure of mitochondrion? Mitochondrion actually has double membrane, two layers of a membrane, inner and the outer one. So the one that projected upward is called cristae. Okay, that's all what you need to know. Okay, mitochondrion. So cytoplasm, no need to say lah. It's just a medium for the reaction to take place. Now, anaerobic is without oxygen. Okay, now, how to differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic, teacher? Wow, so confusing. Okay, have you heard of a mummy? I want to go aerobic dance. So when you do aerobic dance at time, you focus on breathing, right? You go, why? Actually, if you breathe, also can make you slim down. If you breathe properly, it's a method of exercising. If you exercise and you didn't breathe properly, you like hold your breath, compared to a person that normal walking, but he breathe in a correct pace, the person that walking actually they'll slim down faster than the one that never breathe. I mean, hold the breath and you do workout. So aerobic is aerobic dance. I go to aerobic dance. Mommy go to aerobic dance because you are breathing as you dance. You are burning your fat. You are using the oxygen to burn the glucose into water and carbon dioxide. No more glucose. Understand? Have you heard of anaerobic dance? I never know. So, okay, so anaerobic is without oxygen. Okay, when will you need anaerobic respiration? When I told you already, I just repeat only. When you do intense workout, your breathing is so fast already, but still they don't supply enough oxygen to your muscle. So how your muscle need energy war? So glucose will be in the absence of oxygen. Without oxygen, they will break this glucose into small amount of energy, which is 150, and lactic acid as well. Lactic acid is actually semi or intermediate product like pyruvate. So this lactic acid later, they will burn into carbon dioxide and water again in your liver during your recovery stage. What do you mean by recovery stage? Means you're not doing any intense workout already. You sit down and breathe. So this lactic acid will further convert into carbon dioxide, water in your liver. Okay, what about plant and milk? For the sake of survival, plant also they will undergo anaerobic respiration. What do you mean by that, teacher? Like some plant, if you over watering them, until they cover the whole thing, they will still survive for 1-2 days. They won't die all of a sudden. But they will die eventually. Why? Because the plant will undergo anaerobic respiration to produce something acidic. And because they produce surrounding to acidity and they will die because of the acidic surrounding. But some plant, they can withstand that, like paddy plant. Paddy plant memang pun dibanjir oleh air sepanjang masa because they have an enzyme that can turn this thing. They can bear with this acidic condition. You know what I'm talking? And then yeast also can convert glucose into another product. Bukan semua anaerobic also will produce lactic acid one. Bukan. Different thing, they will turn into different thing. For example, like yeast. Yeast, they will turn glucose into what? Ethanol and carbon dioxide. No water, ethanol and carbon dioxide, and amount of energy produced is about 210 kilojoule. Why I say I memorized the number to show off? No lah, okay. They asked before in objective question. My brain only memorized those things that is important one. No important one, I don't know one. Okay? So must know at least 210. It'll come with objective question. Converting glucose into ethanol and water is called fermentation. In Mandarin is 发酵啦. In BM penapaian lah. Tengok itu tapai. Tengok lah apa benda, bukannya semua glucose. Sometimes you can ferment your milk, then you got yogurt if you ferment durian. If ferment durian, it's called what? Tempoyak. Fermentation normally they'll give you some acid one. That's why you taste some sourness. Have you heard of sourdough? Actually, I tried before. I do my own sourdough. Glucose with the presence of without oxygen, yeast can turn glucose into ethanol. Ethanol is a beer lah, arak non halal. Wish. So If you ferment a grape, then you have wine. If you ferment malt, then we have beer. Next one was milk. Milk, the bacteria. You need somebody to living creature in your medium to undergo anaerobic respiration. Then only they turn the thing into product that you want. For example, you need yeast, the living creature. You need bacteria, we call it lactobacillus. Okay, very difficult to memorize. Not lacto is lactose milk. Bacillus is a bacteria that in a sphere shape. And this one you learn in Form 5 again. Bacteria is a very big group, big kingdom where you can categorize them according their shape. We have rod shape, sphere shape, spiral shape. Okay. Okay, done. So what else are this respiration? If I'm not mistaken, I already done everything, right? Oxygen depth already. Have to memorize this one. Okay, difference between aerobic. Oh, see, you are so fast. Okay, bye. Okay, now you learn something or not? Yes. You tell me what is aerobic respiration. So in exam or in school, when you go to school, when your teacher asks, anyone to come out volunteer and teach? Tell me what is respiration. Okay, respiration divided into external and internal. External is breathing law. How is breathing? This is called public speaking. Okay, now what is breathing? But breathing is, we can divide into 5 stages. One is external intercostal muscle contract to lift up your rib cage outward and forward. And then your diaphragm will contract and flatten to increase the thoracic cavity so that the air pressure in the lung decreases and you create pressure difference. So the air atmosphere outside, which is higher, will force the air to enter your lung. Correct? This is how the oxygen go into your heart. Your heart will like your lung. Okay, and then internal cellular respiration means the one that happens in a cell. There are 2 types, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is with the presence of oxygen. We break down the food into carbon dioxide and water. And this one, there are 2 processes, okay? One is glycolysis. This is a big word that you never learned before, glycolysis, which is breaking down glucose into 2-pyruvate. Pyruvate, okay? I like to pronounce it as like suku kata so that you know how to spell it, okay? Pyruvate. Okay, now 2-pyruvate. So this thing, glycolysis, it happens in cytoplasm, and you need an enzyme called hexokinase, and hexokinase is a kind of intracellular enzyme. So done with the pyruvate AD that happened in the cytoplasm, they will continue in the mitochondrion where this pyruvate will convert into carbon dioxide and water, correct? So this aerobic respiration, aerobic dance with the presence of oxygen. So after that, we have anaerobic respiration without the presence of oxygen. It can happen in anywhere, muscle, milk, plant, whatever. So when will we have anaerobic respiration happen in muscle? When you have intense workout, where your breathing is not fast enough to supply enough oxygen to your muscle to get energy. So your muscle will be temporarily changing the glucose in the absence of oxygen into lactic acid and a small amount of energy, which is about 150 kilojoule, 2 ATP. Okay? Now, lactic acid, as it accumulates, they will cause the sourness in your muscle, sore. So you can remove the lactic acid during the recovery stage. When you sit down and breathe, this lactic acid will convert into carbon dioxide, water again in your liver. Okay? It also can happen in plant because in order to survive, okay, they will temporarily convert the glucose into something. If you are talking about yeast, they will convert glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide. You must remember the equation, ethanol plus carbon dioxide. The one that happened in muscle, there is no carbon dioxide, only lactic acid and energy. Okay, now the one in milk to produce yogurt one, so it's the bacteria is the one that's doing the work. The bacteria we call it lactobacillus. Okay, they convert casein. Casein is milk into carcinogen. A semi-fluid, solidified milk like yogurt Yogurt's like semi-liquid word. They convert milk casein into carcinogen. Lactobacillus bacteria. You don't need to know about casein and carcinogen. Just lactobacillus is used in baking yogurt by using anaerobic respiration. Why yogurt is sour? Because they turn into lactic acid. Lactobacillus is an animal, so they turn to lactic acid. Mostly lactic acid is produced by animal in anaerobic respiration. For plant, it depends. If you are talking about glucose, there will be ethanol. If you're talking about wine, or be something else, whatever. It depends on the reactant. What is that?